back with another product. Yeah, as you can tell, it's another Vortex. So why another Vortex? Because I had a red dot, as you've probably seen from my videos, hopefully. So, but that's a red dot. So for me, the issue was that it was a bit small overall, and I needed something with a bit more magnification, but like a scope was then a bit too big, so I went for this one. This is actually a recent addition. This is the crossbow, so it's actually the Crossfire 2 crossbow. So the Crossfire 2 was the one I wanted. Then I saw this one on their site and I switched it for this one, mainly because something you will see when I open it up. This particular scope actually classes as a short dot. So you have a red dot, short dot, and then the generic scopes. So this is the sort of sweet spot in between. So this is also the one I'll be using for my Wolverine. So first thing we will do, as I want to structurize my videos a bit more, is the actual unboxing. So first we'll have a look at the outside. You have a very nice, yeah, it's the right way around, very nice picture of the item itself with all the branding and the necessary information. The important lifetime warranty from Vortex themselves. A very nicely detailed diagram of all the options and magnifications. I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment, of course. Some highlighted interesting features about the scope. What the reticle looks like, the name, and the fact that it's illuminated, and then again something about the reticle, and then the logo on the bottom. So what I always find important about boxes is they invite you in to open it up, and Vortex always takes care of their packaging. Now this is very impressive if you open up something like this. I mean, I honestly didn't go any further than this for like 2 minutes, just because I really liked how they came up with the fact of displaying the entire scope on this very nice wooden background. The thought and the attention to detail of putting something like that on the inside of a box, it's not necessary, but it does make you feel that much more special when you've purchased something like this. It just makes you feel more valued that they put this attention to detail into a box. So it's really been thought through how they engineered the box. So we have these two foam retention pieces which hold the scope firmly in place, but they actually double as holders for the scope rings. So if you buy the crossbow kit, you get included scope rings. Furthermore, you get an included microfiber cloth. With their logo on it. Branding. A battery, because it's illuminated. And of course, a booklet and an Allen key to be able to mount the scope and the rings, of course. Well, mostly the rings. That's why the Allen key is included for this particular size of Allen key. And then of course the scope itself. But as it's an unboxing, I'll leave the scope to the side for now, because there's still actually one more thing at the bottom, which is a cover, or like a tea cozy for your scope. So the point of this is actually when you're done using your scope, you slide this over your scope to keep your scope, well, clean and free from dirt. So that's the whole point of this little bag, which is a nice touch that they included this. And that's pretty much it, apart from the silica bag, do not eat, but I think that's pretty obvious by now. So yeah, very nice box, very nicely done. So we went through this one, this, and then of course, as I just showed you, the scope rings, full aluminum, aircraft grade, black anodized, matte finish, very nice. Now, there is something very important to note about these. They have a maximum amount of pressure you can put onto the rings. Now, I don't think you'll be able to go as far as that, but either way, the booklet will show you the maximum amount of pressure you can put on these rings, or they will break. Of course, it's not brittle, but it is important to keep in mind that this is also a scope actually aimed at real steel users, or crossbows in this case, which I will explain. And some people tend to really put a lot of pressure on their scope rings, which is why Vortex specifically put a maximum amount of pressure allowed to put on these. Very important. This one is just the same, but I'll take it out anyways. Very nice, the way it's been shaped and all included in the kit. So let's just summarize so that it's clear. We have the microfiber cloth, we have the battery, we have 2 scope rings, we have the manual and the Allen key. We have this very nice cover and the scope, of course. So that's all included if you buy this one. That's why it's called the crossbow kit. So you get all of this included with the kit. Of course, that's actually pretty much the unboxing. There's not really much to say apart from that. It's one of the nicer unboxings I've done, purely to the attention of detail and the way everything was stored inside the box and the nice detail of the box itself. It was a very nice experience because it's not actually cheap. This one will set you back about 240 euros, but then again you gain their lifetime warranty, beautifully crafted products, attention to detail, and especially with this one, you don't have to look after rings. You get a cover. It's for me, it's well worth it. But I'm not saying that it is the only scope you should get, of course. But my primary focus with this video is just to talk about this scope and not to compare it with other scopes, but just to inform people who are interested in this one so that they get the best information I can provide for them. So as I said, we will pull off the foam pieces, and here we have it, the crossbow, the Spitfire crossbow. So before I start, I'll just show it off like this. We have the nice included caps, the logo at the bottom, that beautiful anodized matte black finish. It's really quite something. So these flip caps, all included, very handy, come off like nothing. Just keep in mind which ones where. We have this that's what I wanted to mention. They find it so important they put it on the collar to not exceed 18 inches per pound of torque on the ring screws, or you might damage something. So that's why it's so important they attached it to the scope. But we'll take that off for a second, don't need that anymore. So here we have it. Now, as I said, it's a Spitfire crossbow kit. Now the difference with the regular Spitfire is this part right here. So the regular Spitfire just continues like that on this diameter. The crossbow one rises to this diameter, so that's actually this part right here is the difference, and of course the other features, but they base themselves on the Spitfire body and then elongated here because it's the clues in the name. It's a crossbow kit, so this scope is actually intended for use on crossbows. So that's why they've elongated the diameter a little bit to provide crossbow users with a little better field of view. Now just looking at the outer, we have, I don't know if you can see the greenish, that's the multi-coated lenses, and that is to provide as much light capture as possible to provide the best possible views at low light conditions. So that is the greenish tint you can see, which is also available at the back. Now we come to the middle, of course, and we have these turrets, as they are called within the field. So these are low capped turrets. Now you can see why they would call it like that, because they're lower than, like, mostly turrets come to about here, so they low capped the turrets. You can see why they call it turrets, in case you're wondering, because it looks like a turret from a, like if you would say a gunship or something, so that's why they call it turrets, because it resembles a turret. Now they're turret capped. Now why capped? Because there's a cap protecting the actual adjustment device. Another one here. I'm gonna put it like this, so in case there is a diameter difference. And the last one, but that one isn't capped, because that one is, as I will now explain why there's 3 of them. So the top one is for the windage. I think. Let me just make sure they didn't change it, so I'm not fibbing. Oh, yeah, I was almost wrong. That's why it says up. So in a scope, or even in some red dots, as the one I showed you before, you've got elevation and windage. So elevation is the term they use to adjust for the, again, because this is for real steel. In airsoft you won't have this issue, is the Coriolis effect. So that means the earth is round, so you have a curvature. If you shoot a real steel one, the bullet will start to adjust for the curvature and veer off. Well, be affected by the curvature of the earth. Now, if you're trying to aim, then you will be off with your scope towards your rifle because of the difference, because of the effect. So this elevation turret allows for you to adjust your scope to the point that when you aim at something, you will hit the target. So your rifle and your scope are in tune. Because otherwise, what you aim at with your rifle and what you aim at with your scope will not be the same. So this adjustment dial is to counter or to adjust for the Coriolis effect. That is what this one is for. Now there's another one, and this one is for the windage. Now the word already tells us something. Wind. This button or turret is to adjust for wind effect, because not outside of the Coriolis effect, your bullet travel will be affected by wind, and that's what this is for. So you might have seen it in movies or something where the spotter says something and you adjust for the wind correspondingly. So that one will require the knowledge of where the wind is coming from, and then you can adjust accordingly. Now this is all overkill for airsoft, but most scopes probably are, but I just bought it because I mean, you can tell from the quality and the effort that's been put into it and the strength. And so for me, that's just fantastic. And all this is just added benefit for me. But in case someone is watching who has a real steel one or as a crossbow, because it's actually crossbow related, this one, as I said before, then I hope they gain something out of it as well. But actually quite a lot of airsoft people use this crossbow one. And the last one, of course, is actually a bit of a clue with the green and the red. That is to adjust the illumination. So you have the red zone, but you have different degrees of red illumination or intensity, and the green zone, and again, different settings of intensity. And then we have, of course, our magnification ring. That's this one right here, which I will show you. I'll turn it around like that. Now, magnification comes in several settings. You either have fixed magnification. For example, I'll take the box. If I would eliminate the 7 and just put the 2 and read it like 2 times 32, then the magnification would be fixed at 2 times what you can see. So 2 times the normal image. If we include the 7 again, like this one has, then it's standard 2 times magnification, all the way up to 7 times the normal image. And this one is the diameter of the scope. So is this one. That's what the 32 means. So 32 centimeters diameter, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, about 32.
3.2.
Let me see. Tube diameter, weight related, height, length, battery cap. Yeah, so that's, as I said, the diameter. So
3.2.
this is 32, so that this is the diameter. Inches, I think it's called. 32 inches. I'll come back to that because otherwise I'm wasting too much time. But just to be clear, this is the amount of magnification and this is the diameter, the number for the diameter. So that part is clear, but I'll come back to the correct denomination behind it. And then we also have the, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, the eye relief. So what does eye relief mean? If you, let's say, mount it and you bring it up to your eye, the reticle, so that's what you actually see when you look through the scope, should be visible and not blurry. Now that actually differentiates for each type of person. So that's why they made it adjustable. so that when you put the scope up to your eye, it should be immediately clear and visible. That's what this adjustment is for, to make you put it up and it's immediately clear. Like I just adjusted it now and it's immediately a lot clearer. But that is something for you personally that you have to adjust for. And that's basically all you can adjust on the scope. So let's go over it just to be clear. We have the eye relief adjustment, magnification adjustment, elevation adjustment, windage adjustment, illumination adjustment. And that's pretty much the entirety of the scope front to back. Now, as I said, this weighs pretty much nothing. The weight is actually barely under 400 grams. So that's nothing. Why? Well, obviously because it's made out of aircraft grade aluminum. And the lighter your scope weighs, the better, of course. And I also talked about the beautiful finish, matte, anodized, black, obviously black. Again, adding due to the durability. And also, as it says on the box itself, nitrogen and gas purged, which is something you obviously can't see on the scope because it's inside, but they purged the entire inside with nitrogen. This eliminates fogging. So with like a non-purged or glasses, if you, then you will get this. But because this is nitrogen purged, you don't have that effect because the air and the moisture have been pushed out, leaving only the gas inside. And it should also be, yeah, so it's nitrogen purged and O-ring sealed to make sure no air gets inside and you don't get fogging, which is obviously very important in any type of situation, that your scope doesn't fog. And then with all of there's 3 more very important details to note about this, and actually every Vortex product is, it's waterproof. Now, don't try to take this to the extreme, of course. That doesn't mean you have to throw it in a pool or something. Although I think that might actually survive. But again, that's not the point. The point of it being waterproof is that you can use it in the rain. But you don't have to, as I just said, take it to the extreme. But again, very nice. I mean, it's waterproof. Brilliant. What else do we have? Well, the fog proofing, but that's actually the same as this, so I'm not sure why they put it again here. Maybe because they want to boast that it's fog proof, because it's basically what it says here. And it's shock proof. Now you're asking, why is it shock proof? Well, again, because it's made for real steel usage. Even crossbows get a certain amount of kickback. If your scope can't tolerate such a thing, then it will, of course, start to show issues. So that's why all Vortex products are shockproof. So they can withstand the recoil of whatever product they are being mounted on. So you see, you're getting quite a lot in such a thing. And even though this is 240 euros, there are slightly cheaper models. And you also get this in their red dots. So all the extras like the anodized and the shock proofing and the fog proofing and the waterproofing, even if you buy a red dot, that's also included in there. So that's a brilliant thing, backed up with their warranty. Honestly, it's worth every penny for me. And as you can tell, I had a red dot, I bought this one, and I will continue to keep buying them, especially since I had contact with like the after sales department, and they are such nice people. They will answer your questions. The service is impeccable, so that means that counts for something as well. Let's put up our caps first. I think I switched it around again. No, it should be this one. I switched it around because I turned it around during the let's put on our caps. A very interesting note is to go through the booklet, something that's often overlooked and that I completely forgot, sorry. Most booklets are like generic and not very detailed, and you don't really have any use for them, and you still end up Googling everything. As you can see just from the first page, the attention to detail Vortex puts in their booklets. I don't think there's anything you can't find in the booklet that you have to Google. Something I totally forgot to mention, it has about of a maximum range of 100 meters. So that's something which is perfect for me with Airsoft, because most Airsoft stuff 70, 80 meters maybe, but not much more than that, so that's perfect. Red and green illumination, I mentioned that. Feet per second. Feet per second on the magnification ring. So what they did, according to the booklet, is the magnification is in feet per second. So the scope is compatible with a variety of bows and setups. And as I said, the widened, making it perfect for various shooting situations. The ocular focus. That's what I meant with the eye relief. The magnification, again, very nicely explained. No issues with that. The turrets. Have you ever seen this attention to detail in a booklet? Everything you need to know is in there. Indexing the turrets. Illumination adjustments, installing and replacing the battery, parallax setting. Well, that's something new for me. Target image does not fall on the. Whoa, that's something. No, wow. Okay. So to summarize it for you, there's a parallax setting, which apparently is parallax is a phenomenon, and that results when the target image does not fall on the same optical plane as the reticle within the scope. You're just as confused as me. This causes an apparent movement of the reticle in relation to the target if the shooter's eye is off-center. So you can adjust for that apparently. Set at 70 yards, and you can from 35 to 125 yards. If something is closer than 30 yards, there might be a slight shift of the reticle, the parallax or something. Again, very confusing, something I don't know about, but then there you have it. It has a parallax setting. But that's all stuff that is, but again, it's like, what kind of booklet includes parallax settings? The attention to detail in this booklet is amazing. How to mount it, which is also very important, not just slap it on and there it is. You have to mount it in a particular way. Now for Airsoft, I'm not sure how much that applies, but for real crossbow usage or real steel, it's very important to properly mount your scope. So how to align the eye relief and the reticle. You have to use a bubble for the, so to make sure. So it's an entire process. Here, this is actually quite handy because it's very hard to show the reticle on a camera. This is how your reticle will look. Obviously, this one is just unilluminated, so you can have it in either red or green. The XBR2 reticle. I've tried to look up XBR. It came up with nothing. This is a term coined by Vortex. As I said, ranging from 20 to 100 yards. Now, it is very hard to see on the booklet, but if you look through the scope, there are a variety of numbers gauging distances. It's very hard to see through the camera because this booklet is, because it's very small on the booklet. But again, a very nice feature that there are distances on the reticle themselves. Sighting in the scope. So just putting it on correctly isn't everything. You have to sight it in. Now this is again real steel or crossbow usage in this particular instance. It step by step explains how you have to sight in your scope. I'll just show it again like this. You can see the correct steps and how much into detail they go. But that's not everything. There's still a step 2 on the next page, and there is also how to tune your scope if you're in particular instances. So there's something called the, as I said, the FPS indicator, shooting past 40 yards. It is good practice to tune the FPS ring to your bow. So it's not just drop on and go if you're planning to use it like that. There's even an example. And then, of course, maintenance. There isn't very much maintenance to be done. You clean the exterior with a soft dry cloth. Be sure, well, this is common practice, but anyways, don't just use anything on these lenses. even though they're multi-coated and all that, you can still ruin them by using the wrong products. So make sure if you're cleaning this one that you're not using that you're using a product specifically designed for multi-coated lenses. Again, common practice, but maybe not known to everyone. Always make sure you either like this or use a compressed air to make sure there's no grit or small abrasive substances on the lenses, because otherwise you will damage your lens. Again, you might have dried water spots. You know those, very annoying. Either use your breath, so the moisture from your breath, or a very small amount of water, or pure alcohol, which can help you remove the water spots, because there's nothing more annoying than having this sort of floaty thing in front of your face as you're trying to aim. Lubrication doesn't have any necessary lubrication. These things are permanently lubricated to last their entire lifetime, which is why it's important not to leave it in the sun. So once you're done shooting with your crossbow, in this case, stow it away, put the how do they fit that? Is there like a hole or anything? This is very confusing. I'm always too careful. So now it's in a tea cozy, all warm and snuggly. But this is one of the ways you can keep it out of the sunlight. But just keep it out of sunlight, because otherwise it will warm up and dry the lubrication inside and therefore ruin your scope. And of course, any common sense, don't try to disassemble it. I don't know why you would want to try and disassemble it, but if you do try to disassemble it, it will damage the scope and cause leaks and remove the nitrogen inside, and just don't try to open it up, except of course these caps. That's the only thing that you should actually touch on the scope. And then we come to the end. Their VIP warranty, and it is VIP, trust me. There was recently a story about a person who had not this one, but a much more expensive one, and his garage caught fire, and all that remained of his scope was a little bit of the front and a little bit of the back. He contacted Vortex, and Vortex gave him another scope. So that's just to prove you what VIP warranty means. Obviously, there are certain exclusions. That means carelessness, theft, losing it doesn't warrant you for getting a new one. I lost mine, give me a new one. Those are the exceptions to the rule. And lastly, if you get it scratched, that also doesn't warrant you getting a new one. But that's maybe more common sense, but either way, they included it in their small print, because there are always people trying to take advantage of the situation. And then we've pretty much come to the end of the scope. So from the moment I bought it, I haven't regretted since. You've seen the reticle. For me, it's perfect. Maybe not for someone else, but for me, it works perfectly. It's the right size. It's light enough. There's way too much adjustment for it, but that's also nice. The view through it is amazing, which you can't really see, but you'll have to trust me on that one. And just the amount of stuff you get in the package. I mean, you can instantly bolt it on. Usually you have to search and find scope rings. They might not fit, they're the wrong diameter, etc, etc, etc. Here you have everything to mount it on. You just need something to put it on, your crossbow, or in my case, my airsoft rifle. So just to repeat, this one retails at about 240, I think it was 244, but around the region of 240 euros. And for me, it's worth every penny. Now, does that mean there are no other scopes available? Of course there are. But as I said at the beginning of the video, the aim for me is to tell other people why I like this scope and why it's worth what they're asking for it. Because I feel there might be someone around thinking, ooh, I kind of like the look of that crossbow, and they want to see a video about it, showing what's inside, what the options are, and etc. So this is just a video to highlight the product, to showcase the product. There is no such thing as the brand or the only brand. I purely like Vortex because of the service, the quality of the product, the amount of value compared to the price. So that's why I choose Vortex, and I have no problem recommending them because it actually is a good brand. So I don't make videos about stuff purely because I don't get paid for it. I don't get paid to showcase this scope or any other of the products you've seen. This is purely to show my enjoyment and my happiness with the quality of the product. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. There were some hiccup moments, so I will try to provide necessary information in the description. If there are any questions you have, feel free to ask them. I will always be willing to help, and I hope to see you in the following videos, and I hope to improve, which is difficult at times because it depends on my personal health, but I still hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again. So take care of your health, and I'll see you around. Bye.